Block 7 of Paradise. Yay! We are just plowing through these. We are going to start today with more hourglasses. I love the hourglass. This is again a 3-color hourglass. We are doing fabric number 7, fabric number 1, and fabric number 2. So you're going to take your 6-inch squares. You're going to have fabric number 7 on top of fabric number 1 and fabric number 7 on top of fabric number 2. You are going to mark your center. You're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side, and then you're going to cut that in half, and then you're going to press these open. So you're going to have half square triangles of fabric number 7, fabric number 2, fabric number 7, and fabric number 1. Then you're going to put them together so that the fabric number 7s are opposite each other. So the fabric number 7 here is on the right. We're going to take this, drop this on here. Watch these. This is what I have. Oops. Okay. So if you look at these, ta-da! This is your fabric. This is your half square triangle with fabric 2 and 7. On this side is your half square triangle with fabric 1 and 7. You're going to squiggle these together so that the seams match on this side and that side, so they butt together. You can put a pin there if you want, but you're going to mark your center and sew a 1/4 inch on either side. And when you cut them apart, you're going to get hourglasses. Okay, 3-color hourglasses. Okay. Once we are here, we're going to square these up using the square and a square ruler. Again, if you have this ruler, I love this ruler. Squaring from the center is an important skill to have. And one of the reasons why I love this ruler is it makes squaring from the center on a 2.5-inch piece, a 4.5-inch piece, and an 8.5-inch piece very easy, because this ruler shows you exactly where the centers are, and it has, points where you have your horizontal, vertical, and diagonals. One of my favorite things ever, I'm going to show you this, is Scotch tape. I use a lot of magic tape on my rulers, and one of the things that I've done is I've extended this diagonal all the way through my ruler. Okay, so if I'm squaring an 8.5-inch piece, this is the diagonal, this is the center that I work off of. Okay. If you do not have a tool like this, if you are using your regular ruler to square, I find myself constantly counting to where my 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 is, or where my 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 is. And again, you'll see tape marks all over this ruler too, because, I want to go to the same point every time, and these things help me. But with this, there's no counting, and you know exactly where the center is, and the marks are all there for you. Okay? That's my little commercial for this ruler, which I use all the time. So, we're going to square this up using the center of the ruler right on that center point, matching up those diagonals as best as we can to make our hourglasses. We should have 4 of these for our square this month. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yay! Okay. Our next piece we're going to do is our square in a square. Our square in a square is going to be done with a 3 3/8 inch square in the center. And these are done with 2 3 1/4 inch squares that have been cut in half. Okay, you are going to sew the triangles onto the center square with a good 1/4 inch seam. And we're going to use our square in a square ruler to square this up, watching your horizontals and verticals to make sure that they're in line with that center square before trimming. Okay? Our last piece today is a very simple, we're not doing half square triangles, but we are making a 4-patch with fabric 4, 2 fabric 1s, and a fabric number 9. Okay? So, again, I lay out all my pieces. I stack them on top of each other so they all come out the same direction. So I don't have anything kind of, mixed up, because I do that. And when I do 4 patches, I like to sew from the center. So we're going to have a review of the sew from the center. I'm going to lay that on top of here, and I'm going to sew from the center out. I'm going to lay this on top of here, and I sew from the center out. And this makes sure that these two places, when they're sewn together, are even. The outside edges can be a little off. We can always trim them smaller. I tend to sew really with a scant 1/4 inch, so my 4 patches end up a little bigger than 4.5 by 4.5. So it's really easy. If these don't match up on the outsides, not a problem. But this is straight and even, so that when I sew them together, these meet up very nicely in the center. So I have my 4 patches here. And we're going to put this block together by putting the square in a square in the middle. And then we're going to have our hourglasses with fabric number 2 to the center and fabric number 1 to the outside. 2. Okay, got those 4 there. And then we have got fabric number 9, which is the darker purple that matches the center here towards the inside. And that is our 9 patch put together for our block number 7.